Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Hello. This is another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. If you haven't heard of it, that's probably alright. I'm your host, Old Heart. Or you can call me Jared. I'm one of your magnificent Old Heart Radio hosts, and I'm sitting down here trying to ripen up my coconut as best I can, because every day, while it's a good day to ripen up that fucking mind of yours, you should be doing this too. Today, I wanted to talk about, well, you'll find out later, but today is, a good day. Good day for coffee, a good day for minds, a good day for me, hopefully a good day for you. And that's what I wanted to bring this up. What'll make your day even better? Following Old Heart Radio on Instagram. Go follow us on Old Heart Radio. Wait a second. Go follow us on Instagram at Old Heart Radio, or on Twitter at Old Heart in Space. We're there, even if you don't realize it. Most importantly, though, I want to say, it is my favorite month. It is October. We are here. It is now. And it is time to remember to watch all your horror movies, kids. Today I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Because sequels are always way more interesting. That's not just, I just can't even finish. That's not even a true statement. Sequels are always very funny to follow up on the brand. Good sequels that come to mind, in my opinion, Batman Returns, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. I'm still waiting on Titanic 2, but we'll find out someday if that ever gets made. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 definitely falls into that weird category of I don't know why they made it. 100% for sure. Dennis Hopper's in it. That's really the only person of interest. Leatherface is back in it. You can really, Toby Hooper's returning. He brought the character back from the proverbial I don't know. Either way. Okay, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It came out on August 22nd, 1986. It has a runtime of about 101 minutes. I think that's maybe if you watch the entire credits, which the song Stranger Things Happen, or Strange Things Happen by plays, and it's just fucking ridiculous. But here's one of the things that got me, stood out really weird about this, just like the statistics on this movie. They made this movie for about $4.7 million, right? Which is considerable, seeing the movie itself. Like, the movie itself just doesn't look like it was made for $4 million. But they made $8 million at the box office on this motherfucker. It's crazy. That's nuts. They made back their money and then some, for sure. But this movie's strange. If you've seen the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not like that movie's not insane, because it definitely is. But this movie just expands most specifically on the family, I'd say. But somehow Dennis Hopper's character gets wrapped up into it. He's he's thrown in as this he's a lieutenant, perhaps from a different branch of the police service, and he has his family was killed. His family was killed by Leatherface, basically. That's what they allude to. They allude that his family was killed by Leatherface, and his family, well, at least it's okay. So his brother Franklin was killed by Leatherface. Let's just say that. So Dennis Hopper is hell bent for leather on this one, and he's spent this entire time just scouring Texas for these fucking killers, right? And he's like a drunk. He's like, I don't fear them. Giving in to fears is what they want, right? And it's such a weird. Like, Dennis Hopper is so wasted in this movie, but that's he built his career off of some of these movies. Like, that's no joke. So there's a character named Stretch, who's a female disc jockey, who captures at the very beginning of this movie. She captures a live execution, basically, by Chop Top, who is Leatherface's brother and Leatherface. So these like teens are going to like a college to party or some shit, and they like play chicken with Leatherface and Chop Top, who's played by Bill Moseley, and brilliantly, by the way. And they end up coming back for these kids and killing them on a bridge in moving vehicles. It's insane. It's like the whole opening sequence. And Stretch here records it all live on air because they called into a radio station to shout-outs to Evil L, shout-outs to Yellow Teeth, shout-outs to Castle Roll, shout-outs to Uncaged, shout-outs to Bugatron, my younger brother, shout-outs to Mooner 6, shout-outs to anybody listening out there. Kudos to you and kudos to me, shout-outs to me always. Why? Because I'm a selfish shout-outer. Okay, so Stretch captures this murder on air, on tape, records it, and then as Dennis Hopper's character is investigating this crime, she like brings it to him, and he's like, I don't want your help, even though she has exactly the evidence he needs, and he's like, I don't want your help, and then he like kicks her out of his fucking apartment, his hotel room, right? It's complicated. Then he spends like $700-800. Dennis Hopper spends like $700-800 on motherfucking chainsaws. Like, he gets like one big ass chainsaw and he gets these two mini chainsaws. And one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie is when he's buying these, because he's in there, he like walks into this hardware store, doesn't say a word to the owner, just walks over to this section of chainsaws, puts like $700-800 down on this fucking counter, and then just starts wielding these chainsaws like he's trying to like fence with them. And the owner just like walks over and tries to get his attention. He's like, did you want, and he just like, and then like, because Dennis Hopper's not saying a damn word during this entire scene, the owner just like starts getting more like manic almost, and like laughing. And then then the cherry on top is Dennis Hopper goes outside with his new chainsaws and starts hacking away at this log just sitting out there in front of the hardware store. And the owner of the hardware store just starts laughing, like, and it just intermittently shows the owner laughing and Dennis Hopper chopping away at this fucking log. It's just the most insane thing. The violence in this movie is so unrealistic, you can't, like, there's no way you can take it seriously. And I read that even though the studio wanted a horror movie out of this, but the creator, Toby Hooper, basically wanted to make a black comedy. And I don't know if this is necessarily a black comedy, but it's definitely a comedy to some regard, because it's just so insanely done. Like the first half of the movie is so it doesn't establish shit. And then all of a sudden in the second half of the movie, like, it just takes off, right? Chop Top and fucking Leatherface bust into this radio station, kill this dude, take his body. Stretch and Dennis Hopper go to find it, like, where they took him, and next thing you know, they're in a world of fucking insanity, right? And the second part of the movie is basically filmed like this like Leatherface family place that you see in the like the place they go at the end of the movie is like an old Matterhorn theme park or ride, like, that was closed down, and they used it as like the set for this whole second half of the movie, where they go and find Leatherface and Chop Top and like grandpa and like their lair, basically, which is riddled with like bones and body parts and like skin and like blood and guts and like all this stuff. And it's insane, because you just keep thinking, like, as you watch this, you keep thinking, like, how many people have these motherfuckers killed? because it's insane that they would have all of these bones and all of this stuff. Like, and nobody has paid attention to it. Nobody's been like, I wonder how all these people keep going missing in Texas. Like, I don't fucking know. It's insanity. But, and this is just the best part. Like, the way this, like a rich marinara, this movie ends. So, Dennis Hopper. Okay, so Stretch gets pretty fucked over in this movie. I just want to say this. Stretch was played by, like, Caroline Williams. Awesome, actually. Kind of a cool character. But she kind of gets fucked over for this movie. So, like, Leatherface falls in love with her, and earlier in the movie, before they even get to, like, the den where all the bones are and shit, Leatherface and her have this strange interaction where she's trying to get him to not kill her, but she's trying to, like, pretend like she's letting him fuck her with a chainsaw. It's very strange. And I really suggest just trying to watch the movie if you want more description on that. So Leatherface kind of thinks that, like, he's in love with Stretch, right? The radio disc jockey. And she's cool, like I said. I bet we'd be homies, you know? But Stretch gets kind of kidnapped and lured back into this, lured into the... She somehow finds herself tied up in the family's crazy dungeon, and along the way, Dennis Hopper busts in and finds himself in a chainsaw sword fight with Leatherface, where he guts the motherfucker, and then uses his 2 mini chainsaws to, like, you know, ding ding ding, like little, like, extra blades or whatever. It's insane. And then like, Dennis Hopper, Leatherface, Grandpa, whatever I didn't even mention this dude, but like a guy who won a chili cook-off in the beginning of this fucking thing, he's in there, and they all get blown up with a fucking grenade, which just happens out of nowhere, really. And then the last thing you deal with in this entire mess of a movie is Stretch getting chased by Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley, who's, like, slicing and dicing her with a fucking razor blade. She, like, gets her hands on a chainsaw, kills him, and then she's, like, at the top of this, like, Matterhorn ride, waving the chainsaw around like Leatherface, like, wah! It's insanity. Like, she becomes what they were, or whatever. I don't know, man. It was insane. Like, watching sequels to movies is definitely a weird way of finding, like, expanding, not like the base of those first ones. Like, those sequels, like, especially if you have very loose knowledge on the first movies, are so fucking weird. Like, this is such a fucking weird movie. Weird ass sequel. That being said, I definitely suggest you watch it because it was banned in Germany for a reason, kids. So go out there and use your brain for good. Every day's a good day to ripen up that coconut. And what do we say on this podcast? I don't know.